Hey guys, welcome back. My name is Peter. This is Tech Suvara, and we're going to dive right back into where we were from last week, and that's we're going to continue with the Django. Let's do it. So, last week we started exploring the Django. Basically, just a quick summary of what it is. It is a full stack development platform, framework, API, that allows you to build part front end, part back end applications that run a service via uh, any particular kind of protocol over the internet. So you can use it to run a HTTP service. You can use it to run, I think, also FTP. Correct me if I'm wrong. But basically, what the first steps were installing it, setting it up, and jumping into exploring it with their tutorial. So the tutorial was pretty precise. It was really easy to use. I had some problems getting set up with Python 3.10 plus. I have 3.11 set up now. We have our project here, and we're basically going to just jump in and continue with that tutorial. I was really excited to see what you can do with it, how you can kind of connect it to different bits. I was interested in looking at MQTT, how that might work, and basically just exploring it and playing around and see what we can achieve. I really want to see how you could build an IoT system for it. I do actually have a book that does dive into using Apache, but I am more interested in the Django. I just like Python. I'm not a big fan of PHP. I have experience with Python, and Python is the code that we all use for AI. So any more use and experience with Python will probably give me better job prospects in general when it comes to software development. Okay, guys, let's dive into the code and let's explore the Django. All right, guys. So, as we had before, this is where we were. We were creating the polls app. Actually, no, we were a bit further. We were we'd done the first view. We had set up the polls URLs, and we had done the my site URLs to linked polls. You should always use include when you include other URL patterns admin sites. So I think let's just check Django URLs, import include path. Let's see, we were at Django URLs. We had included polls and include polls.urls like this. The include function allows referencing other URL configurations whenever the Django encounters include. It chops off whatever part of the URL matched up to that point and sends the remaining string to the included URL conf for further processing. So I take it takes the path, cuts off this path and includes whatever is next. This would be index, I think. Yeah, because that would be, if we go polls, we go to the URLs polls, it would just say here index for no path, which makes sense. So it cuts off that and what we've got left. Now we have wired index view into the URL conf, verify it's working. I think that's what we're doing. Python manage. Let's run this thing. Run. Python. That was something else I had there. Manage, run server. You have 18 unapplied migrations. I still don't know what those migrations are. Let's have a look. So we have 1, 200. Oh, page not found. Using the URL conf to find in my site URL, tried the following patterns. The empty path didn't match any of them. That's interesting. If you get an error page, you check that you're going to polls. Okay, that's what we wanted to go to. Oh, that's right. Polls. Yeah, that's okay. So this is where we were when we last jumped on. So path function is passed 4 arguments. We have the route, the view, and 2 optional. We have arguments and a name. At this point, it's worth reviewing these arguments. So we have route. A route is a string that contains a URL pattern. When processing a request, the Django starts the first pattern in URL patterns. So so that is what matches where it goes, basically. So we have my app is where it goes to my app. Patterns don't search get and post parameters. Okay, then we have the path argument view. When the Django finds a matching pattern, It calls the specified view function with the HTTP request object as the first argument. And then we have the arguments which we can pass. So if it's like a get, we can pass it arguments. And the naming URL lets you refer to it unambiguously elsewhere. All right. Well, that is it. Yeah, let's jump into part 2. So now we want to set up a database. Now open up my site settings. So this is the fun stuff, my site settings. We have it here. What does it say? What does it say here? We want to, by default, the configuration uses SQLite. If you're new to databases, well, let's just say we are new. Let's just do the SQLite. If you wish to use another database, no, let's just use SQLite for now. And change that database. No, we don't need to change any of the engine database keys. If you're not using SQLite as your database, additional settings must be added. Okay, for database other than SQLite, no. While you're editing, set time zone to your time zone. Guess that's important, right? We want to be in the right time zone. UTC, we'll go, I think it's +10. Something like that. Incorrect time zone setting. What does that mean? Let's go Eastern. ESTEDE, Eastern Daylight Savings Time. ETST. Is that right? No. Let's find out what are our options for time zone. Since the Django was first released, the time zone set to America, Chicago, global settings UTC, new project time was UTC. Okay, so what are our options? There we go. List of time zones. You should always start at the top of something. I find myself jumping straight into the middle of whatever the description on the help is. We need to go. So this is the TZ definition. Well, I think it's +10 UTC. Can we do UTC +10? That? Let's see. No. Country code. Where do we go? We want to go basically Sydney. That was almost a sneeze. What about if we go? There we go like this. STD DST, so an Eastern Standard Daylight Savings Times. It will be ES. TZ identifier. Okay, Australia ACT. So this should work. Great. Okay, so we've done that. We've set up our time zone. Also note installed app setting at the top of the file that holds the names of Django applications that are activated. By default, we have the following. Okay, that doesn't say much about it. Content authorization. These applications are included by default as a convenience. Some of these applications make use of at least one database table, though. So we need to create the tables in the database before we can use them. To do that, okay, we want to run, well, let's cancel this and do our migration. Python manage, tell me want to run. Is it just migrate? Yep, migrate. Okay, great. So we have our tables for auth, admin, and content types. Creating models. Now we'll define your models. So basically a database, like is a collection of values. So you have models that you can use. In this case, we'll be using, whatever they suggest. We can create a model in models, polls.models. Okay, from the Django, yeah. We have the input models. And this should kind of tell us what we want to do here, like in terms of kind of model we want to create. So we have basically class, question, models, inject model. Question, self, I think it's right. No, just question to text. this. In Python, it's this. Question text models.char field. Max length. Okay, max length. We have a max length value, the database. And then we have subdate. Subdate? Pubdate. Really should just make this smaller so I can actually see what I'm reading. Date roles models dot date time field date here date published. That's the name. Is that the name of the date? The field. Question text. Character field, a date time field, and then we have another class. I think by that means table also. So in our pub, we'll create two models, question and choice. A question has a question publication date. Choice has two fields. These comes represented by Python classes. Okay, cool. So if you don't know, a class in Python is basically that. It is like a struct that does struct. The C struct has some additional features that relate to object-oriented programming. So we have a foreign key. A foreign key is a key to a different table. So we have like a primary key, which links which gives us a unique ID, and then we have a foreign key which links to that unique ID on a different table. Tables like a list of values. Okay. I'm not sure what cascade means there. Models char field max length 200. We have votes equals integer field. Eval equals 0. So we have our two classes. They're not used anywhere by the looks of it. Here, each model represents a class. Okay, we've got that. Each field represented by an instance of a field. Char field for character fields, datetime field. Yep. Yep, makes sense. The name of each field instance question pub date is the field's name in machine-friendly format. This is value Python code. And your database will use it as the column name. Okay, that's that column name. You can use an optional first positional argument to a field to designate a human readable name. Okay, so that just means that's what we would use. Doesn't really say. Human readable for question. All other fields in this model, the field machine. So it doesn't really say what the human readable name is for yet. Some field classes have required arguments. Yep. Now we want to activate it. Oh, we want to create a database schema. So, and create a Python database API access. First, we need to tell our project that the polls app is installed. So to include the app in our project, okay, so polls is an app, installed apps. My site settings, we just installed apps, all of these, and we need to add polls config. Where are auth password validators? Templates. Oh, middleware. Let's just, for consistency, have the same start and end string characters. And we'll make the migrations again. Okay, that's different. Now Django knows the polls app. Let's run another command. You should see the symbol. Okay. Run. Make migrations. The great migrations. Very small little application we're making here. So basically, polls is an application, and we have this project. Like at the beginning in the previous video, we talked about having this as a project, the whole thing, and polls is an application. By running make migrations, you're telling Django that you've made some changes. Okay, so it does the migrations. There's a command that will run the migrations for you and manage your database schema automatically. It's called migrate, and we'll come to that in a moment. But first, let's see what SQL that migration would run. Okay, so this will tell us, Python manage.py SQL migrate polls 0001. What is this going to do? So SQL migrate polls give us the, okay, so it just gives us the SQL code for it. Create index. Okay, so it does all that for us. Nice. SQL code. Yep. Fun stuff. Old school, very old school. SQL. How old is that? I think that's like 40 years old now. Let's find out. How old is SQL? 1970s. Yeah, more than 40 years. So it was before I was born. Let's close this. By convention, the Django appends ID to the foreign key field names. Okay, that's fine. Oh. Now run migrate again to create those model tables in your database. So what's the difference between run migrations, make migrations, makes them, we can see them in SQL and then run them. So we run migrate, applying polls do1 initial. Okay, there we are. Nice. I guess the output is different depending on what the database is apparently. So there's got to be a way that it actually communicates with some kind of language to set it up. Or maybe just generates it with some kind of set of configuration options. Playing with the API. Now let's, okay, so we've done all that. Make migrations, change your models. So change the models and then run the make migrations to create the migrations and then run them and then migrate to apply this migration. So every time we change the model, we have to run 3 different commands. I guess the thing is that we can make changes. We can have more. There's more freedom in how you generate the database. If you wanted to use a custom database, then you could do that also. Maybe there might be benefit to the way that you're storing data. You might want to store. I guess like as an MVP, it doesn't really matter. You just want to spin up something. So in this case, it might not even. Just use the SQLite. Yeah, you don't. Then the problem is actually moving on to something else later on. If you have a big database. Playing with the API. Now let's hop into the interactive Python shell and play around with the free API the Django gives you. The Django gives us a free API to invoke Python shell. Let's try that. Python manage shell. That's interesting. Nice. So what do we do here? Once you're in the shell, explore the database API. Models, import choice, question. Okay. Then we go question. So this will give us all of the objects. All. That's empty. Okay. So basically this will, we input the time zone, add a new question. So we have basically an interactive way to add things to the database. We'll do this. We'll add, I think let's add a question from, and then Q equals question, then Q save. Okay, so we can basically save elements, so save items. And we'll do that. Now Q.id, what is that? Is 1. All right. So we don't need to worry about the rest. We know we don't worry about changing it. Wait a minute. Question object isn't a helpful representation of this object. Let's fix that by editing question model. So we basically expand on that to return the representation by using string. Let's also add a custom method to this model. Was published recently, 1 day. All right. Don't really need to add that string. Doesn't really matter. In this case, we're just kind of like exploring, just seeing what it does. So we have models, but we do want to add this function to the question because it's probably something that will be used later on. And we want to import date time zone, date time, and time zone. Import from the Django utils import time zone. So that was the thing that I did last time. Import time zone. All right. Basically, oh, okay, we're just creating more and more data. Introducing the Django admin. Okay, so we can create users. So we have our own admin system that we've got here. And then we start the development server. So we add a user. And now open browser, go to admin. Okay, let's do this. Python manage. Let's exit. Control D. Let's do this. Python manage. Create super user. Creates username. Okay. A email address test@test.com. Password test 123 and test 123. Password is too similar to the email. Okay, let's try that again. Bypass validation create. Yes. Well, just testing and exploring, so it doesn't really matter. Maybe. I mean, it might matter a bit, but not too much. And then we run the run server Python manage and run server. Cool. And let's jump onto admin. This is what I want to check out. This will be interesting. What does it come up with? Okay. They do test at test.com. Test 123. No. But it needs a username. Oh, great. So this is the administrator. We have groups, we have users, we can manage. Cool. Nice. So we have our site management, basically backend user management. Then we've got the administration, make a poll modifiable by the admin. So, okay, interesting. So we can go to polls admin and admin site to register and explore the free admin functionality. Cool. So we can go admin here. We'll just throw this. Okay, and it did that for us. Reload. Oh, nice. We can actually go into the database and just play around with it. We have a questions table. And just registers question. Models import. What if we do models import choice? Right, and then we just cite register choice also. Right. So do the same thing. So now we can go reload and we have choices. And we can add choice, which has all fields. La-di-da-di-da. It's a nice little, system to set things up here. Well, I guess you can delete items. That's pretty much it for this one. We can go part 3 next time, or we could try something different. I think I'm pretty happy with the Django. Let's see what else we can do in terms of Python, but let's move on from the Django this time. Let's have a look at MQTT, see if there's any API there we can run an MQTT server. It'd be interesting to see what we can do. So let's jump onto that next week. Thanks for sticking around to the end, and I'll see you in the next video. Bye.